All right. So,
Hey.
as promised, we are going to have an interview. I'm Dr. Stance, and with me here is Larry Charles.
Hey, thank you.
Larry,
Good
thank
to
you
be
so much
Dude,
for being
this is
on
awesome.
on the show. Okay,
Forgive me for like glancing all around because I'm just taken aback
yeah,
by what I'm
this is your first
experiencing.
time.
First time here.
There's some big lights, bedazzling lights at that. The whole place in general, it's very mesmerizing. You walk in and it's sort of like just a cloud of hypnotic spells going on.
So it's a lot different from just watching it on YouTube.
Right,
for sure.
right.
Like
You don't see any of
here.
this.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys so much for tuning in and staying tuned in. This is twitch.tv/Nick Tonella, where we do community profile interviews, and that's what we're going to do right now. So, Larry, I'm just going to open the floor.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Larry Charles. I'm a professional video game developer, and I've worked at big companies, small companies. I started a company making games. I've done it all because I love it all. Anything about game development is just where my heart is. And I had to do it, man. I left Connecticut. I left Pennsylvania. I just packed up, told everyone on the East Coast, I love you guys, but I'm going west. That's where the games are. That's where the devs are. Yep. And I never went home longer than like a couple weeks.
So I was saying you might be the most employed guest we've ever had on the show before. I also want to say, before I get personal with Larry, if you guys in the chat, you have any questions yourself, we have a real game designer here.
Yeah.
A real game dev. So if you have any questions at all, throw it in there. Our producer is combing through all the questions, and we'll get them answered best we can.
Let's do
it. So my first question is, what games have you worked on? Any games we've played?
Right. I'll go in reverse order so that the most recent stuff and the biggest stuff it comes first. I worked on Armored Warfare at Obsidian Entertainment. It's a MMO for tanks more likely, and it's pretty cool. It's a great battle game, lots of strategy, not very arcadey, but you want to plot, you want to move your way through the environments, take great shots. And the team at Obsidian, I just left them recently, so much love and respect to all of them. The game is awesome, by the way, and I still play it in case any of you guys want to see me in the battle arena.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Is your name something they want to give?
It's just I usually just use my name or Black Massive. So
Black Massive?
Black Massive. It's Massive Black, concept art company just reversed. Because I love their work, but I was like, this fits me. So I was
somewhere else with that, but
it's well, you know what?
That's probably
I'm gonna leave that alone. Nobody else needs to know. Okay, so continuing on, I worked on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Okay.
I was a single player and multiplayer level designer.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
Is that a small? That's
I mean, we
game?
sold a couple copies. I mean, enough to buy me this book and this shirt. So so that was Sledgehammer Games up north, San Francisco, and I absolutely loved the project and the people that I was working with. I mean, top of the line. I learned so much from the people I worked under, and I have so many friendships that even though I'm no longer there on a daily basis, I'm keeping in touch with somebody. So. Call of Duty was a big one, though. Like, I mean,
that was a pretty big game.
I always say that was the first time in my career where I was at a GameStop and someone asked, like, "Oh, you make games? What game do you make?" And I didn't have to repeat it, right? Like, other games would be like, "Oh, I worked on Lost Planet 3," and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Lost Planet 3," and no disrespect to Capcom, but that's what happened. That's a true story. People were like, "What?" Like, and then you're like, "Hey, I worked on Advanced Warfare." And then people are like, I stopped talking and they start telling me, "Oh, sorry." They start talking to me like, "Oh man, this and that." So yeah, it was that was cool. I had a lot of fun working on that project.
Awesome.
I got to do multiplayer and single player, so great for my resume.
Well, yeah. And great for us that you're here.
Yeah.
So that's so cool to me. That is so cool to me. So I want to know, jumping from, and I know you're still a game player, but jumping from a game player to a game designer, like how did you first feel that fire? We call it in the fighting game community that hunger, that you want to do something with it, you want to be part of it and make it better. When did you first feel that?
I mean, very young age. I think middle school was really when I started getting into it the most because that's when I had computers available. And I played a lot of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons as a middle schooler. And, like at that age, you're always like hooking each other up. Like, oh, you just all of a sudden find all this great shit. Sorry, can I curse? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Curse all you want.
So anyway, that's kind of where like it started for me. It was like when I got my turn to be DM for my little group, and I would just have fun putting people through these crazy situations, and I never stopped. Like I would continue to draw comics, I would play other video games, and I would always say, man, it would be better if they did this though. Like I always had some sort of complaint, but it would irk me enough that like I would like write it down and like send my shitty little designs to like Acclaim. You need this, like you need to fix this, and you never get a letter back. But I guess it was just there. It was latent, and you don't really know that there's a career in it as a kid. But it was something that I just continued to do, continued to develop. And one day at Penn State as a young adult, I was skipping like math classes and like business classes to work on my little games, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life? Like I'm not doing anything here at Penn State. I'm wasting my time. And I was still working on my games though, skipping classes, working on games. And so I was like, hey, maybe there's something in video game development because somebody makes games. And looked it up, found the Art Institute of Orange County, California, headed west. 10 years later, here I am.
So the message, kids, skip class, play video games. Take that home, and I want you to look your mom in the eye and say, that's what I'm doing.
What's crazy is when I was a kid, there wasn't like streaming. There wasn't like I'm on YouTube all day playing games and getting paid for it, right? So when parents for my generation were like, don't play games, it's not going to lead to anything. They were so wrong. Right. Like they were so wrong. It's not even funny.
It's a brave new world.
So, So what do they say now? Like, don't play video games, or like they're like play video games because you can be PewDiePie or somebody, right?
Right,
like
right. Oh yeah. Are you going to work? Yeah, going to work. Boot up.
I'm in.
Here I am.
The webcam.
So that's awesome. I also want to highlight you're also an author. Guys, he's also an author.
Oh, man.
He's written a book.
I wrote a book.
What is your book?
So it's Game Dev Unchained, the Game Industry Survival Guide. It's on Amazon. And it basically is, if you know nothing about the game industry, or if you even know a little bit and you want to know the ins and outs, advanced tactics that I call them, for getting, better jobs, negotiating salary, handling crunch, how to approach seniors with your ideas without getting immediately shut down. Like I kind of just took my entire career, took all the good that I did, all the bad where I will never do this again, compiled it into about 110 pages and said, here you go, world. Don't have the hardships. Here's the shortcut.
Yeah.
And so I've so far gotten very positive feedback. It's a labor of love because I love the game industry and I love new people in the industry. So I had to do it, man. I had to do it.
I think that's awesome. So that's on Amazon. Okay, that's published, guys. You can actually read that now.
And if anybody gets it, thank you very much ahead of time. I really appreciate it. It's not, I don't make it to make the money. I just wanted the information to be available. But it helps to get like $4, It's very cheap, inexpensive book.
If you can sell it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I do have a question about going from bigger games to smaller games. So you worked on some pretty large games, but now you're in NorCal, but now you're down in SoCal working on smaller games. What is that transition like?
Well, for me specifically, the change was for the better. As a professional, I feel like you should be able to handle any environment, right? Like if you're working on big games, you bring your A game. You're working on small games, you bring your A game. That's what it is to be a professional. Yeah. But me personally, I'm a tinkerer. I come up with ideas and I want to see them immediately. And I love on a smaller project, I can say, hey, it would be great if we did this. And someone's like, okay, cool, make it. And I'm like, wait, what? Really? Like, okay. So I go make it, I show it off, and then it's in the game in like a week and a half's time. Versus, I guess where I was coming from in like a bigger system, I'll just say, you're like, hey, here's what I would like to do, and then you send it for approval, and then it comes back, and you get your feedback, and they're like, change this, cut this, do that, and you're making bigger changes, and you're watching this one. So like, I worked on one level for about a year and a half. The same level.
Wow.
It was idea, implementation, polish, more polish, bug fixing, more polish, and then hands off, go work on multiplayer. For a year and a half, the same thing, the same level every day, day in, day out. Now, I loved it because it was a big level and a big game, but like as a tinkerer, as a guy who's like, I have more ideas and I have great things that I want to offer, and it's not always a Call of Duty idea. Sometimes it's, a MOBA idea. Sometimes it's a horror game idea. Sometimes it's just a really cool mechanic for letting players grief other players, right? So small games is like, come to me, my son. Come to me, my son. They like give me all the runway to basically have these ideas quick, small, dirty, make them. Then an engineer's like, okay, cool. Let me polish that for you. Then it's a feature in the game. So I love it. It's where I should be right now in my career because I want to be involved in the major decision making behind games, and I mean, I love what I do. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Do you aspire to the next level? And also, what is the next level?
Sure.
Because I'm not in game development.
Okay. Well, I guess literally and by definition, I'm a senior game designer, but I'm the most senior level designer on the team, so I'm leading the level design team where I am. Without the title, I should have pushed for that. Like, well, you may as well make me a lead level.
You should just have like final boss.
Yeah,
like, shouldn't that be on your name tag? Final boss.
I'm gonna get new business cards, and I have you.
Larry Charles, final boss.
So for me, I think the next step would be creative director. I would want to skip over lead game designer, because we do have that role. I actually want to jump from where I am now into having my own project, having a whole team that I'm working with, execute, put something out, sell it, and do press, do interviews like this. And I believe I have some really strong ideas, and I'm like die hard behind proving it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That is so awesome, man. So what I want to do now is we're going to turn a page.
Okay, let's do it.
And we do have some questions from the chat. Our producer, Matt, has carefully selected the ones he finds the most interesting or the most lovely. And I want to kind of go down to them, if that's okay. So DH Nate has asked, how'd you get – yes, thank you so much, DH Nate. How did you get into the game designing business? Where did you start?
Sure. So the first thing I decided was there's no real game development mecca on the East Coast, right? Like if you work at one studio and lose your job, you're moving to a whole new state because it's so far and few in between for development studios there. California has the exact opposite problem. You lose your job here, you can go right down the street. There's another dev. So I came here as a college student to make games. I said, all right, I'm going to go to that area, learn the area, network, and make friends while going to school for game development so that when I graduate, it's like, oh, well, now I'm working in Irvine, or, oh, now I'm working in Los Angeles, versus, oh, now I'm uprooting, moving to California with no friends, no apartment, no bank account set up. Like, everything is new all at once, right? I wanted to ease myself in. So I started making games as a professional in California only because I networked very hard while I was in school, and I learned a lot while I was in school in the area I wanted to work.
Yeah. And
Art Institute of Orange County.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Ho Muffin. Hey, Ho Muffin. What lesser-known games do you think are just really well designed?
I'm having a lot of fun right now playing through Monument Valley. I just downloaded that, and I feel ashamed that I didn't have it when it first came out. So that's a good one. Gone Home is actually one of my favorite games of all time, and it's a very small title that a lot of
Matt,
people,
our producer, is like, yeah, that game.
You don't even understand. Like, that game was like, it changed a lot for me because you know how people talk, like, is it a game, is it not a game, and trying to classify. For me, it's like, hey, I paid the money, I played it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I don't care what you call it. Gone Home was awesome.
It was.
So that's a good one. If you haven't played it, if you're one of the like 9 people that I know personally, go play it. It sold a lot, but for a good reason. It's a great game.
Awesome. Okay, so Hey Man 2211. Hey man. Hey man. How stressful can it be? How stressful can it get to be working on a big game like Call of Duty, or was it all fun and games?
It was everything all the time. So it was stressful all the time. And it was also fun all the time. And I don't know how that's possible, but that's my answer.
It was all of the things.
It was all the things. So you have deadlines, and they're very serious deadlines. I can't think of one Call of Duty that was like, oh, remember that date that we announced? Well, we're not that date anymore. Call of Duty is like, no, rain or shine, that game will be out. So if you're behind, figure it out, right? Like, you're responsible for this. So having that pressure is huge because, you know, like you have a team of 300 people who are depending on you to get whatever your responsibility is done, because then it affects their job and their success. So it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of churn, and not everyone can handle it, as they say. But while I was there, I had to handle it because it was going to be important. But then there's also the fun part, which is like, I mean, Call of Duty studios party hard, man. If you want to feel like a rock star in a sense, like, work on a big game like that because, I mean, the swag is great, the notoriety. When you're just wearing your dev shirt, like walking through like a Walmart or somewhere not even a game place, you could be at church and just have your little like Call of Duty dev team, and people will be like, oh, wait, hold on. You worked out? Oh. And it's like, hey, man, you know, pastors.
It's all like church ladies.
Seriously, it's like, hey,
you work on that game.
Yeah. So it's really cool. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm glad to have had it on my resume and the experience. So, you know, that's how I feel.
Does anybody ever, like, find out that you worked on Call of Duty and then write camper like on, like on the side of your car? Camper.
No, because I don't camp, man. I'm in your face. I will say this though, it was very touching to have met random people who, after finding out I worked on that game or any game, who like just bestow like their dreams. Like, man, I really want to get involved in this. What do I do? How can I? And like they just listen to every word, and it's like, I'm just a regular guy who's doing what he loves, but I can see like in their face that this is like a life-changing experience for them. So that's actually a lot of responsibility to like not tell them, man, you don't want to put your personal gripes. No, you don't want to work on, you know what I mean? Like, and then you're crushing the kid. So you gotta like button up and say, look, it's very tough, but you can do it. If you really love this, work hard, and here are the things you need to concentrate on. Those moments are what I live for, man. Seeing those kids like, yeah, okay, yeah. Can I email you? Can I keep in touch? And I'm always like, yeah, go ahead, because you're not going to, but it's all good.
Well, kids forget.
No, yeah, you know,
it's
all
just like,
good.
like, oh, can I just wait? What?
Yeah.
Follow that.
Yeah, dude.
So next question comes from Secret 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Secret 2. How was the Call of Duty team? Like, I'm reading it.
Sure.
Like, was it different departments/teams?
Yeah.
What were they? And how big were they?
So I think overall we were, while I was there, I think internally we were like 220, something like that.
220, okay.
At the max. And you have animators who are, all they do is animate, obviously. Designers, we just design. Engineers who are doing engineer. Everything was compartmentalized. Sometimes you would have like strike teams or squads of like 2 or 3 animators, a designer, and, you know, a programmer, and, you know, a producer who's like responsible for making sure you guys get your stuff done. But excuse me, more or less, it was very compartmentalized. You have animation team, design team, art team, you know, the texture guys, the character modelers, the weapon guys, and they all would like more or less sit together if possible. And you have your responsibilities. You don't really get to see the game at a macro level, right? Because you're always working on the micro, and then you come back at the end and you're like, wow, look at this thing that we did together, you know. So
that's awesome. That's all. Ho Muffin. Got another question from Ho Muffin. What game would you have liked to have been a fly on the wall for in the design meeting?
Man, this is an easy one for me, I guess. Anything that comes out of Rockstar, Grand Theft Auto, because
that is, I wouldn't even think that is. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just when you play the final product and you see how much they push the envelope in the final product, I can't imagine what got cut. You know what I mean? It's like hot coffee. How did that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that shipped on a disc. So could you imagine what they were like? Hey, this is too lewd. Like we can't have this. You know, we can't do that. But all this other stuff is okay.
That's actually a really good, really good point. It's like, so when you kill the hookers. How far out do you have to be for it to be a crime? Yeah.
Seriously. And it depends on how classy she is. If she's top level, they're going to give you 3 stars. Because, you know, there's politicians who know that person.
Remember, there's hookers, there's call girls, and there's escorts.
You
got to know the difference.
Gotcha. Thank you. Not that I know or have any experience. I'm just assuming, that they've worked their way up. So.
So it is Wednesday Night Fights, and you are here at the eSports Arena.
Yeah.
Do you play fighting games?
So
it's actually I wanted to know, but also DH Nate is also asking.
DH Nate, I play fighting games, not as much as I used to. I'll be completely honest. As I told Paul, I have Street Fighter V still in the plastic. My Street Fighter 4, I put hours in. Street Fighter 3, I put hours in, but I only played the mules. I played Sean and Danabiki.
I was going to say, we've talked about this before. We're both real big Dan and Sean fans.
Yeah.
We love those guys.
And I'm hoping Capcom throws me a bone and just says, hey, you know what, Larry, DLC, go get it. Sean is a playable character. I will quit everything and make myself as good as I possibly can just to troll people with Sean again. But I would say my best game is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah?
Yeah, Spider-Man, Cable, and usually Wolverine or possibly Captain America.
Bone Claw or Adamantium Claw?
Just regular Adamantium
Claw.
Adamantium.
Okay.
Adamantium Claw. Yeah,
okay.
That's my squad. Spider-Man is just so quick. He gives me a lot of pressure when I need it. And then Cable comes in when I need distance and a lot of damage. And I feel like Captain America is usually like my all-around kind of any situation. I can do a good amount of damage. I have some keep away with him. A lot of combos that I just have memorized with my muscle memory. So that's my squad, and I'm sticking to it.
Do you play on stick or a pad?
I play on both. I play on both.
Oh, both. Okay.
So I'll just say this: my level of expertise, like I'm just as good at either one, and that's not bragging. You know what I mean?
That's just
me being
statement.
honest. That's me being honest. So yeah.
So coming from a designer's point of view, and hey, we don't work for Capcom, so you can be honest, good or bad.
Sure.
When you look at Street Fighter V, like, what's your designer's eye telling you? Like, what do you think?
Well,
we'll just appraise
sure,
it. We'll do like an Antiques Roadshow.
It's very beautiful. I can see the huge differences between what Street Fighter V looks like and Street Fighter 4. And I believe they switched to Unreal 4 for this game. I don't think that they used it for the last one. I'm not sure on that, but I know that they've gone Unreal on this one. And when I knew that Street Fighter was going 3D, like I remember it was like way back in the day, there was like a 3D Street Fighter that came out. Was it Street Fighter EX or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this sucks. This is not Street Fighter, right? It'll never be what I expect, like the frame rate, the consistency, to be able to just go through all my moves so fluid. I was like, it's going to look so choppy when it's in 3D. Well, fast forward 10 more years, and like you have this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Capcom. I just didn't see it then, but now I'm totally a believer, man. And I love that we're still doing side-scrolling fighting games, because when it went 3D, you thought that it was just going to be, oh, you can see it from anywhere, so you can fight from anywhere. And that changed a lot of games for the worse. So I'm glad that Street Fighter actually sticks to their bread and butter. They just make it look a lot better.
Okay, so like we're looking at the Kanzuki estate level. How many people would it like on your team?
Sure.
How many people on your team would be allocated?
My current team right now?
Yeah, to make a level like this.
I see one environment artist, one person who's going to be doing the lighting, possibly another person doing the texturing, but the environment artist may be able to do both of those things. As far as the effects go, that's not necessarily someone who's doing level effects, more so than doing effects for the whole game. But you definitely need someone who's going to be doing your effects. You see every time they throw a punch, like the swooshes and things like that. So I'm guessing for that stage alone. Oh, also, you're going to need an animator. Not necessarily a character artist, because the characters are probably already made. But for that stage, you're going to need specific animations. So maybe a team of 4 for like a month and a half, 2 months. Is a guess. Really? I don't know. Capcom could probably laugh right now. Oh, he thinks we paid 4 people for that? No, we paid 1 person. He's very good though, but 1 person. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
That's my guess. That's my guess.
Okay. I'm happy with that. We have another question straight from our producer, Matt. Everybody.
He's over there, by the way.
You can't see him, and you'll never see him.
He's
if I get my way,
friend.
you'll never see him. Are you a Dark Souls fan, and would you ever be interested in designing a game like that?
So I missed the boat on Dark Souls. I think I got into the series when it was like a PlayStation 3 game, and I got it greatest hits, and they're like, oh, we're starting off the service because the new one's coming out. And I just bought it. I was like, oh, screw it. And I watched a lot of people play, though, and it seems like painfully difficult in some ways. And I've never been a fan of like Ninja Gaiden, like past the Nintendo, I missed every last one because I was just watching people punish themselves. I was like, man, there's more fun things to do than. But I get it, right? Like it's a sense of accomplishment when you know a game is brutal and you beat it anyway.
Yeah,
that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
That was all of our generation, like growing up with Nintendo. Yeah. It was that brutality. I actually have to get better at this.
Yeah.
Oh.
I paid for this to get beat and laughed.
And it's sort of like an existential nihilism where it's like you only live to die, and then you only die to respawn, and then you only do that again and again and again in an endless cycle of death.
Yeah. I will say, if we had today's model for like iPhone games where there's microtrans everything, back then, I would have been really good at the game. It's like if I had to pay to keep playing, like if they had the quarters method on the home consoles for like games like Ninja Gaiden, you have no choice but to be good. So, but now there's a lot of convenience. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I love to play like MOBAs. Right now, I'm huge in Heroes of the Storm. So if someone is better than me and they beat me, hats off to them. If the computer beats me, it's infuriating.
But real talk, is anybody better than you?
I mean, 1 or 2 people on a good night, you know?
All right.
No, it's in HOTS, I love the game. Everyone at Blizzard who works on that, and I'm dropping names and shout-outs all night. I don't know if people do that normally.
Hey, man, this is our time.
It's a great game. It's like, they're like, Larry, you should play HOTS because no one is playing WoW anymore. I'm like, people play WoW, just not my friends anymore. And so I tried it out.
And to be fair, those people don't have friends anyway.
So I tried it out, and like it only took about 35 minutes. Once I got like 2 kills in a row, and I hadn't died yet, I was like, oh, I'm the shit. Like, I took 2 people's lives, and I haven't died yet, and they had me hooked ever since. I've been playing broken characters as soon as I could find them so I can ride up my MMR rating.
Right. Well, you know, that's how Street Fighter works, too. It's like, oh, I'm on a 2-game win streak online?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm godlike.
Yep.
Start throwing that word around, godlike. So we are going to bring it to a close now. I want to give, first off, I want to give Larry a wonderful, heartfelt thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the thank you.
For being on the show.
Thank you. I loved it.
You guys are watching, and I also want to highlight that this is something that we do. We like to talk to gamers, game developers, just people in the industry, mostly the community. Mm-hmm. You know, everyone talks about FGC, fighting game community. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there's a lot that encompasses. Mm-hmm. You know, Yoshinori Ono-san, he doesn't compete.
Yeah.
You know, but he's part of it too. So we're all part of it. It's all made up of the human beings. So thank you, Larry. Please, we got a big old hole here.
Okay.
Plug away.
Oh man. First and foremost, and this is very unprofessional, but Jenny, if you're watching, I think you're beautiful.
Hold on. Wait. Who's Jenny?
Jenny is Jenny.
Jenny.
That's all I can say, dude. She's not very, public.
Okay.
I
she's not very
she's
public?
real. I promise
she's public
real.
now. You better answer the question.
I mean, you can go look up Jenny, but yeah, Jenny, you're beautiful. And if you're watching this, awesome. If not, someone will tell her, I'm sure. Now that that's out of the way, thank you guys for watching this interview. I hope it was entertaining. If you want to stay involved in video game development or you want to talk to me specifically, I will give you my personal email address. It's larrycharles@gameschoolonline.com.
Say it one more time.
Larry.
Matt, could you type that into the chat?
Sure. larrycharles@gameschoolonline.com. And if you notice, the second half of that email is Game School Online. That's because I've started a business actually teaching people about developing video games. My business partner and best friend of mine from college, Brandon Pham, we started this. We went in together and we're like, you know what? There need to be more developers who give back. There need to be more people who are excited about games who go back and bring people in who are excited about games. Because we were learning from a lot of like career educators who were like years removed from the industry. And, you know, no disrespect, that's who they had. But like now we have a much better option. We have the internet. We have the ability to send education anywhere in the world, find students anywhere in the world. And they're talking to people who not only are doing this, but have been doing this for a long time. I mean, 10 years, man. That's significant. So I'm co-owner and I guess half of GameschoolOnline.com. And then I also talk a lot of crap and, you know, education about the video game industry in this podcast called Game Dev Unchained. If you look up Game Dev Unchained, that's our podcast. I'm half of it, and guess who the other half is?
Mr.
Brandon Pham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did one of those.
Did you really?
I did one of those
when
podcasts.
Was it like last week?
2 Saturdays ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was fun.
Yeah. We had the good doctor on there with us, and thank you very much again for doing that episode.
Yeah, no problem.
That's the only plug I have, man. If you guys are interested in games, if you're interested in fighting, keep watching this channel because the epic fights are going to happen. I might even get in there and like wiggle a stick or two and probably lose.
Well, don't say it like that.
No, that's did I innuendo?
We don't wiggle sticks.
Yeah,
no, we just
my own stick, not yours. My stick.
We press the pad.
Press the pad. All right.
That's no better. Better.
No. That's it, guys. Thank you for this. This was awesome. I'm so happy to be here. And you got a new fan. I'll be here on Wednesdays, not even to talk, but just to watch, to compete. And if you play HOTS, look for Flip5577, number 1645. It's going down.
And then just one more time, excuse me, Larry is on Twitter. You can see his name right there, @LarryCharlesJr. And also the book, one more time.
Sure.
Game Dev Unchained.
Yes. So it's the same branding as the podcast, Game Dev Unchained.
Yes.
The Game Industry Survival Guide. It's available on Amazon. Huge title, but no one else will outrank me for that title.
Right. Well, if you search, I've searched for it, Game Dev Unchained, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So check out that book. Larry, thank you one more time
Seriously,
for being on the show.
This was an honor. Absolute honor.
Really appreciate it.
Always.
Honor for us, too. So, guys, keep watching. We're going to take a little break right now. If you haven't clicked follow, please click follow so you can get the notifications whenever we go live for things like this.
I mean,
for guests like this.
Seriously.
For producers like Matt. Hey, Matt. Also hit subscribe. We got a subscribe button. We are partnered.
All right.
That subscribe button is a week old, and
Congrats.
we want you to subscribe. Thank you very much.
I'm going to subscribe as soon as this is